This is Business Women Australia podcast, featuring industry leaders who bring their wealth of expertise from diverse areas to help you build a successful business. Now, on to the show. And welcome to another episode of Business Women Australia podcast. I'm your host, Anne-Marie Cross. Now, joining me on today's show is Fiona Yue. Fiona is the Director of PGY Consultants. She's an accredited consultant with the Proctor Gallagher Institute that was established by the legendary Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher. Now, Fiona originated from northern China and came to Australia via Edith Cowan University. That was over 2 decades ago. She holds an MBA. She is the Managing Director of Merino & Co., the largest merino wool products and luxury knitwear manufacturer here in Australia, and she enjoys investing in many areas. Now, having run multiple businesses, Fiona felt she never knew why she succeeded outrageously in some and failed miserably in others until undertaking the Proctor Gallagher program. Now, she says success, that is not a secret. In fact, it's a system. For all of her successes, she has been following the system unconsciously. And for all of those failures that she's had, she's been working against the system. Now, with this system, she says, I have transformed my results in every area of my life. And it's my mission and passion, this is what Fiona says, to help others do the same. Now, on today's show, Fiona's going to share, no matter where you start, you can get to live your dream life if you dare to dream and persist. She's going to talk about to live a truly fulfilled life. You need to extend out and help more people live a better life to the purpose with your business. And also, success is not a secret. It's following that system. Let's see if we can get her to share what that is. Welcome to the show, Fiona.
All right. Thank you, Anne-Marie. That was a lovely introduction. Hi, everyone.
You have got such a wonderful wealth of knowledge, expertise, and what I love about what you're going to share today, I mean, as you've said, there are opportunities that you've been involved in that have gone really well, really successful. And then there's been other projects that you've worked on and opportunities that haven't quite had the success. And you've been able to compare the both and now really reflect on, well, what was there? What was the things that you did really well and you want to continue to do? And what were the things that perhaps weren't as successful? But overall, and I believe that, hindsight, what we learned from our past is the greatest teacher. Before we dive into everything that you're going to share, what would be one greatest lesson that you believe you've learned from the diverse experience that we've just shared in the introduction?
Okay. If it has to come down to one thing, then it has to come back to the purpose in your life.
And when you say purpose in your life, would you say that looking back when you initially had some of your involvements, you weren't clear on purpose so much? Did that come later? And if that's the case, what were some of the things that you did that helped you get clear on your purpose? Because purpose is something I think many of us struggle with. What is my purpose?
Yeah, that is fair enough. I certainly have a deep understanding on that as well. For many years, I didn't know my purpose as well. That is why, because I've always been running multiple businesses, and you mentioned also in the introduction that I've been quite successful in some of my adventures, and I just failed so miserably in others. It is all because, if we don't have a clear purpose, that is to say, what we truly want out of life, and then we tend to come on to all these different opportunities that jump onto us and get into it. And then if it's not something that we truly love to do, we tend to use our mind wrongly sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So that really makes a big difference in whether we are going to succeed or fail at the end.
Yeah, I love that. So, for people who are not clear on their purpose, really get clear on that, because that can often be the guiding star, isn't it? That's the thing that really drives you forward and keeps you focused. Because I'm sure, like many other businesses, there's opportunities, there's pursuits, so many, and it's really knowing, well, what really fits in with my purpose? What do I need to be focusing on right now to be able to get me closer to those goals? Now, one of the things that you want to share a little bit more about today, Fiona, is no matter where we start, you get to live your dream life if you dare to dream and persist. Now, let's talk about dreaming, which is really around, I guess, vision. What's your vision? What goals do you have? How many of us are not achieving that because maybe there's some fear around dreaming too big? What if it's not possible for me? So I'd love for you to share a little bit more around, how do we dream big? How do we dare to dream big dreams?
Okay. The reason why I want to share that topic today is because I would like to start sharing from how I started, basically to where I am, if that's okay. I guess that
That's
will
beautiful.
okay. So I guess that will show why I wanted to, I'm so resonate with that topic today. So I was grown up and graduated from the Inner Mongolia region of China, from a very the most remote village in the most remote province in China. And throughout growing up, basically we just had nothing. Talking about nothing. It's absolutely nothing. I'm talking about no running water, no electricity. No nothing. A family of 6 of us was living in the house, well, in a room, I would say, like smaller than my current kitchen. So that is how we grow up. And now, looking back, I constantly reflect on how I got to where I am today. Whereas, obviously, most of the people that I grew up with, they haven't ended up being where I am. And actually, to a large extent, they are still living, the life that I was living before. So I just, I reflect a lot, and I thought how I became who I am today. One of the most important attribute that I've got is that I always had the desire, and I just dare to dream, because it's not easy to dream big, especially when you are surrounded with people who literally have nothing. They don't even know what a dream is. And then that is something that I appreciate a lot, that I always dare to dream, but more importantly, I acted on the dream, and I persisted on my dream. So that is so important, that for every one of us, no matter where we are, we can't change how where we are born, and how, in what kind of circumstances that we were born.
Yes.
But we can definitely all control, how we want to think and how we want to dream, because no one can cause us not to think what we don't want to think.
That's
So,
right.
so we best think, yeah.
That's true. I love that you've shared that story, because, someone may be listening or watching the recording and thinking, yeah, well, Fiona, you've had so many opportunities, yet when we hear you reflect on where you started, you shared two things. Firstly, you dared to dream. You dared to dream. And secondly, you said you took action. You just didn't sit back. Sometimes it's the active thought of dreaming those dreams that things start to happen. So I wonder, if you go back, and I just reflect over the introduction that we said, that you originated from northern China, you came to Australia via Edith Cowan University, and that was over 2 decades ago. So when you were dreaming as that young woman, then was there an opportunity that came up? What was going on for you back then that you had that opportunity then to get involved with Edith Cowan, then the university? Is that what happened?
Yes. Again, it really comes back to the dream, because after I graduated from uni, which is also in Mongolia, and most of the people around back then, like 20 years ago, in that environment, most people would think it would be very good if you can find a good job. And I was offered a position in the uni where I was studying, to be a lecturer, and that it was many people's dreams, I would say. But for me, I thought my life is meant to be more. So, so I was searching, and that's what happens when you search, you seek, you will find. I was dreaming of going out and look at the outside world, but because I have never left Inner Mongolia by then after I graduated from uni, and then by my searching, I found that Edith Cowan University in WA was actually they have only just started recruiting international students, and they are in talks with another uni about recruiting some Chinese students to ECU, and I just jumped on the opportunity straight away. But of course, back in my dream were my lovely parents. They just supported me unconditionally. So
Yeah.
that's how I.
It's so important, isn't it, to be able to have people around you to support you, because you can have these dreams, and I'm assuming that you were sharing those dreams with your parents as well. And it's so important, I think, to be able to be mindful of who you share your dreams with, because there may be some people, not in your case, of course, with your parents, but there may be some people that you share your dream with, and there's nothing worse than people that will say to you, well, that's just impossible. For some of us, that actually becomes a driving force, doesn't it? We'll just watch, that kind of thing that we think we'll just watch. So when you think about some of the other things through your life, have you seen a commonality or a common thread that when it comes to the success that you've had, it always started with a dream, not just a dream, but a big dream, taking actions, doing research, and then all of a sudden, opportunities were opening up because of the fact that you took those steps. Is that something that you can see consistently happening throughout your career?
Yeah, definitely. You are absolutely on point, Emery. For not only myself, but for every successful people that I have surrounded myself with, you know, one thing that's in common is that these people, they all dream big, and they don't they don't really get influenced much by the naysayers around them. You are so right just now that we need to really be a bit careful of who we share our dream with. Because remember, most people are not tough enough to just go solo and to go achieve their dreams. We're so influenced by the environment and the people around us. But yeah, that's definitely a common attributes that the successful people have.
Yeah.
We
Something else, as I'm hearing you share the story, because you were saying that, no one that you knew back in your hometown had actually gone and paved the way. And it reminded me of a story where, and I'm sure you've heard of this too, no one even believed that anyone could run a 1-minute mile. And then when someone broke that barrier, broke that record, all of a sudden other people were thinking, oh, well, maybe it's possible. And then record after record was broken. So is that something else that when you're thinking about having a goal, and maybe some of the experiences that you've had, not only have you dreamed, you've actually gone and done things or asked questions or sought opportunities when no one else has really gone before you. You've challenged the status quo, and it takes a level of character, of perseverance, doesn't it, if you are going before and paving the way. Yes?
Wow, geez, tell me about it. Coming back to how I came to Australia, before I came to Australia, remember I was growing up in the Mongolia, and not in the big cities in the Mongolia, but a remote village in the Mongolia. I have never taken a flight, so flying to Australia is my first time to see an airplane and fly over. Basically, no one. Before that, I have never seen a person, like a foreign person, someone who speaks English, and no, it's absolutely a dream to everybody. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you at that stage know in English? Had you as a child had to learn the English language, or was that quite new for you as well?
We've been learning some English from year 7. But remember, we were taught by people who don't speak English, so even if my English was a bit better than most of my peers, but still, when I came to Australia, because back then we didn't need to take the IELTS test for degrees here.
Mm.
I'd have to admit that almost for the first year, I didn't quite understand what the lecturer was saying. You know, they've got such a strong Australian accent, and plus their slangs. I was
You just had to
struggling
be
a lot.
politely in class and just absorbed as much as you could. I love that. And we're going to ask you in a moment, some of the other things that you have recognised that you consistently do. But it really goes to show that there's this tenacity, there's this resilience, because I'm sure within the journey of entrepreneurship, in the journey of new experiences, it really is just embracing everything. But what are some of the things that you have learned that there are opportunities that you will endeavour to follow through, but they didn't get the results? In some instances, what we can do is then have us go, you know what, I'm not going to try again, because, failure, that F word. I believe that failure is just feedback, and it can give you the ability to learn and develop. But share a little bit about some of the learnings that you've now had that have supported you as you've gone through and had opportunities that didn't go very well, and others that obviously did. What was the greatest learnings around some of the things that didn't go so well?
Okay, now with what I know now, I look back and I know I can pinpoint exactly how things go wrong. It all comes from our mind. Like everything, it originates from our mind. I would say that for all the successes that I've had in those situations back then, I basically believed firmly that I could achieve it, I can make it. And therefore, my actions and that all showed that. It all reflected in my actions, and as a result, then it showed in my results. But for the the cases when I failed, it was all because of our own analysis and logic towards that situation and condition. And then in our mind, it reflected negativity. It reflected, basically, we didn't believe it could happen, and we didn't expect it to happen. And you know what? As a result, it didn't happen. It was a failure.
It's interesting that you picked that up, and I think it's so useful that you did. So what do you do now because I'm sure, by the sounds of it, I'm sure you've got plans, you've got dreams, you've got potential projects, and even running with projects now. What do you do if you ever find yourself up against not maybe a misbelief or disbelief, I should say, but rather some doubt there? Are there things that you now do? Is that a trigger, if you will, for, okay, so let's take a step back. What is it that I need to know? Do I need to get more team around me? What are the steps that you take to enable you to address that concern, that doubt, so that it doesn't inhibit you to continue to move forward? Do you have a success plan against that too now?
Yes, I sort of do with what I know now. But it's not that I always know this, but I do know now. So for whatever, as you said, nowadays with all this information and we all have so many opportunities jump at us. So what I do now is that I look at every opportunity and I ask myself, is this in harmonious with my purpose? Coming back to purpose. If it is, then I'm gonna, pursue that opportunity. But remember that when we are trying to go out and pursue a big opportunity, things don't look very obvious that this is going to happen, because if you know everything, then it's not probably a good opportunity for you to really grow. And so as a result, the opportunity that we take are the ones, basically it's a dream at that stage, initial stage. When we look at the opportunity, it's almost like a dream. So as a result, we don't see the clear path of how we are going to achieve that. But that is fine, that is normal. So what we need to do is to not to doubt, not to worry, but to keep putting this, vision that you have, how you want this opportunity where you want this opportunity to end, and put that vision in your mind. Then you only think how you're going to achieve that, instead of thinking anything of any excuse of why you can't do that. That's how the process that I follow now.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, because the distraction or the doubt or whatever becomes a distraction, isn't it? And you've just confirmed, have the dream, have that vision in front of you, and let that drive you forward. Let that be what you're focusing on. And it's so true. And I'm sure you've had situations where you have been so focused, and then all of a sudden a resource shows up, an answer shows up, a person who can contribute to an area that maybe you had a question and you're not so strong on in that area, and they can support you in achieving that. Now, something else that you would love to share a little bit more on, which I think is so beautiful, you said to live a truly fulfilled life, you need to extend out and help more people to live a better life and to tie that purpose in with your business. Share a little bit more about this, Fiona.
Okay. So again, I would like to come back to my own experience and why I at the end had that purpose. But I guess for us human beings in general, we all would love to help others and contribute to the society. But to me, it's especially so because I shared at the beginning how I grew up and how I came to who I am today. So as a result, I really want to share what I've learned from my own journey and experiences, and then go back to those people who are not as fortunate as us, to get to know, get to expose to, the systems and the processes that people should follow to create a dream life for themselves.
Mm-hmm. And when you look back to the people that you've supported, it almost becomes like people paying it forward, doesn't it? I'm sure you've looked back in people that supported you in your history, and whether it be a resource, sharing something, whatever it is, opening doors to you. Because there's such gratitude there for that support that you've had, you want to pay that forward. And it reminds me, it ties beautifully into everything that you're talking about, really focus on that dream, continue to take action, continue to allow that to focus you forward, and continue to help others as you go along. And is that kind of contributing back to people that perhaps were still in your community and sharing some of the things that you've now been able to experience, because you're almost like planting a seed, aren't you, that maybe it's possible for Fiona, I wonder if it's possible for me. So you're kind of going forward and sharing that, hang on a minute, yeah, yes it is. Is that kind of the things that you also do, that you're talking about?
Yes, absolutely. You mentioned gratitude just now. It's something that I do every day. The first thing I start my morning by listing 10 things that I'm grateful for. You're so right that I felt so grateful because I couldn't be who I am today, be where I am today, without the people that's supporting me along like my way. Of course, it started with my parents who they have never been overseas like before I came, and they just believed that if I wanted to go experience something, they would just do everything for me and supported me. But of course, during my many years running businesses, and that there are so many people, it's things just as I mentioned just now, things are not clear. Especially when you want to go create something brand new that you or no one else around you have created, the path is not clear. But one thing leads to another. People will show up, the resources will show up, the ideas will come to you, and the good things will just keep happening if you focus on being grateful all the time, and also keep your mind focused on your dream.
Yeah. One of the things that I mentioned in your introduction, and that was that you are the managing director of Merino & Co., which is the largest merino wool products and luxury knitwear manufacturer in Australia. And I would imagine that part of that role, of course, as well, is influencing as a leader of that organisation, the team around you. Have you noticed that as you continue to really really understand what your purpose is, to live that purpose. And I can really see that you live and breathe that. And your team can see, and the other leaders that are around you can really see that's rubbed off on your leadership team, and that's trickled down throughout the organization. Have you seen that happen?
Geez, big times. Big times. So the reason I'm so passionate about, the coaching programs that Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher developed was because not only because I'm a client myself of the material, but also because I keep using this material every day in every way, in every area of my life, not only in my family, but as you mentioned, in my business as well. Like I remember very clearly before I got into this material, I always wanted, my team to, it's sort of like an ego thing. I want my team to say that I'm a good leader. But after I got into this, I realized that, the exceptional leader should be a leader that draws the best out of your people and make them to feel that they are the best. So that's exactly what I'm doing now. And, my team, they are growing so much with me together, every day. And we have such a pleasant working environment, and it's just fabulous.
Yeah. It's almost infectious, isn't it? Success breeds success. And the approach that you now adopt, it just, I could, that's why I asked the question. I cannot imagine that with your passion and, sense to really live out the purpose, and the fact, around gratitude and around helping others. And you do that not from, as you said, an ego driven, but that it's going to bring out the best in others. It creates a kind of environment that begets others that want to do the same. And so, what better way? And especially why I ask that too is for time as we are in now, there are many challenges that business are now faced with that they've never had to be faced with before. And it reminds us how important as leaders, even though we may not have all of the answers and don't have all of the answers, what's so important is that the attitude that we have as leaders, the approach that we have as leaders, is one that continues to really believe with the truth of belief, if that's a saying, that there is a way. We just need to find a different way and approach. And I'm sure that you see that every day with the team. Yes?
Well, definitely, Emery. It's spot on that you just mentioned attitude. That's everything, and that is such a fundamental attribute for a true leader. Because unless we, as a leader, in whatever situation it is, we have to maintain positive, looking out for the good, the positive, no matter what happens outside. And then only by then, our team can passionately follow us and go achieve that big vision that we've got.
One of the things that you said, and I just want to highlight that, and then perhaps as we finish the show off, there may be a couple of other insights around how you say it's following a system. Would you say that there are things that you've adopted in that system that you've created, and some of the things and insights you've already shared, I think, are valuable for all of us, but recognizing that, each of us as leaders, even our team, there are different styles and approaches that we use. Some people love to have things organized, others love the creativity and spontaneity. It's recognizing that there are systems, there are steps to take, but also being aware of what our unique strengths and giftings and style is, so that we can combine, unite the best of all of those and deliver, and generate results. So thinking back to some of the things that you've said, but maybe a couple of other points that you want to share around success is not that secret. It's following a system, especially for someone who says, well, we don't actually have a system, Fiona. Where do we start to put one together?
Okay, good question, Emery. First of all, I want to stress that this system is not created by me. It is created by Bob Proctor, who is a global leader in human potential, and Sandy Gallagher, who was a very renowned Wall Street lawyer. So together they created this coaching program. So the system that I am talking about here, it's not the operational system that we adopt at workplace. We are actually talking about the system of how to use your mind. So I'm not sure whether you guys heard of what a paradigm is.
Well, share it in case people haven't known.
Okay.
What does you mean when you define paradigm?
Okay. All right. So paradigm is a mental set of programs that's stored in our subconscious mind, which is controlling almost all of our habitual behavior. And almost 96 to 98% of all our behavior are habitual. So that is, if you think it, probably, that is to say that only 2 to 4% of the time that we think consciously, and for the rest of the time, we are just on autopilot. Wow. If you start, sorry, what is the word? If you start from tomorrow and really notice the people yourself or the people that's living with you, you can almost see their routine. They don't have to think consciously. They get up and they just get on to do things that they do. Yeah. So that is to say that in this mental program, this so-called paradigm, basically determines our results in life in every single area. So if we want a different results, if we really want to go create the results that we want in our life, we must replace this paradigm. We must replace this program with a new one so that we can go create that results that we dream about.
Yeah, I love that. If we're not getting the right results or the results that we want, change the paradigm. In fact, get a completely new one. And sometimes it can be starting off just differently. Those habits that you say that you're talking about, we may not even know that. But sometimes what we can do is, if we, this is just an analogy, but it's very simple, but it goes to show that we do things just quite unconsciously. If you're tended to be right-handed, instead of writing with your right hand, write with your left. If you butter your bread with your right hand, do it with the left. And there's almost like this awkwardness, isn't it? But if we can start to challenge some of those habitual things which we just take for granted, it goes to show that we can actually challenge and change some of the things that we don't even realize are happening in the background. The whole unconscious mind, I think, is a fascinating topic, because many people don't realize that actually, we think consciously. I think, what was the percent again? It was quite minimal, 2 to 4% or 4 to 6%, you were saying, with the conscious mind? 4%, yeah. That's right. So you think 96% of what we do is driven by unconscious, and a lot of those paradigms are driven unconsciously. So amazing. So Fiona, if people want to find out more about you, about your work, how can they connect with you? What is the best way?
Okay, so my company is called PGY Consultants. People can, you can reach me with my email. It is fiona@pgyconsultants.com.au, or you can call my office to get to me. I just wanna comment on what you shared just now, Emery. It's so correct what you said just now. It is so unconscious. We don't even notice what we do a lot of the times. Yeah. So, but again, as you said, it's gonna be uncomfortable changing that. Your analogy is just so good. Using the hand that you are not normally using. So imagine that some small things like that can make us feel so embarrassed and awkward. But thinking about changing this paradigm that is formed right from when we are in our mother's womb, probably till where they got influenced by, society, schools, work, everything. And it's been there for so long. So it's not going to be too easy to change. And that's how, we come to help with the program that's been developed.
Yeah. So share a little bit more about that. I mean, we've obviously given you an opportunity to share how you're using the system and how you've been able to influence the teams that you've been involved with. But talk a little bit about your consultancy and some of the services and programs that you run, especially for someone who may be listening and thinking, you know what, Fiona, I think that some of the paradigms that run the way I do things need to be changed. So what are some of the work and support that you can help them with?
Okay, so basically for anyone who's listening, if you want to know if your paradigm is right or if you got, the right paradigm, you only need to look at your results. If you are not happy with the results that you've got, that is to say that there is a problem in your paradigm and then you need to change. And what we do is to, as I mentioned, Proctor and Sandy Gallagher, they developed this program so this program is designed to help people to change their paradigms so that they can have their paradigms consistent with what they want. So I want to extend a bit further in the paradigm. So basically within this paradigm, it contains things like who we think we are, what we think we can achieve, how much money we think we can make, or how much, what is our value and things like, and also our logic and the reality that we see in our own eyes. So that all determined our results at the end. So we've got various programs, but I myself has been a client of a signature program. It's a 6-month coaching program. The reason why some people may think, gee, that's a long time, but remember, the paradigm has been there for so long. It's been formed subconsciously. It's very stubborn there. It's not going to change overnight. Even if you know you need to change it, that doesn't mean that you're going to change it. And it's not easy to change. That's why it's a 6-month coaching program. And during the 6 months, Bob Proctor, Sandy Gallagher, and myself will be teaching you together. And my role is to be a mentor. You get unlimited mentoring from me for the 6 months so that I can truly guide you through the program, hold your hands, hold you accountable, teach you, guide you, and more importantly, answer all your questions and and doubts and worries, etc. This is not a program like the traditional program to teach people more knowledge, because we've got enough knowledge already. Our issue lies in that we don't apply our knowledge in our own life. So what I love this program the most is that it teaches us not only about the theory, but it also teaches us how to apply into our own life straight away. Yeah. And that's how it benefited of course, my family and my kids and everybody, but more importantly to my organization, to apply it into my teams straight away. And then everything has changed. It's just transformed the results.
Yeah, such a great testimonial, and to live that out. I love the way that you've reminded us, look, there's information and there is a plethora of information on the internet, and I'm sure that we've learned and we've read. But there's a big difference when we take that knowledge and start to apply that. And you've shared through your story and journey a beautiful confirmation of what can happen when you challenge the paradigms that don't support you and replace them with paradigms that do. And not only are you able to generate success through your own actions and the relationships and the gratitude and the extending of support to those around you, but it trickles through to the team as well. So one more time, Fiona, can you share the web address and your email address one more time?
Okay, so the address is PGY, so basically P for Proctor, G for Gallagher, Y for Yue, my surname is Yue, consultants.com.au, and my email is fiona@pgyconsultants.com.au.
Fantastic. Well, please reach out to Fiona. I'm sure she's more than happy to have a chat, or one of her team members to have a chat a little bit more if you've got some questions. But thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your journey and your story, and of course supporting others who recognise that they have themselves got some incredibly big dreams, and they need to get clear on that purpose so that they can continue to move forward and start to really actualise and to succeed in those areas that they have been working so hard towards. And we thank you for coming and sharing that on the show today, Fiona.
Yes, thank you so much, Emery. I'm really grateful and honoured to be here sharing with everybody.
You've been listening to Business Women Australia podcast. Want to become part of a dynamic collective of women who are passionate about business success and personal growth? Go to businesswomenaustralia.com.au/membership to apply. That's businesswomenaustralia.com.au/membership.